All right. The Senate is back in session.
Mr. President, if I'm not mistaken, what we need to do at this point is set aside sunset for other Senate business. And I'd like to make a motion that we do that.
Okay. All right. And this is this is using the long roll in this because we don't have a roll.
Okay? Long roll.
All right, Senator Livingston, do you want to talk on this?
Actually,
can't.
I want
Not debatable.
personal
All right.
privilege.
All right, Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chasteen. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Reed. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Shelnut. Mr. Singleton. Mr. Smitherman. Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stutz. Mr. Wagner. Ms. Weaver. Mr. Williams.
$28 ayes, 1 nay. The motion passes.
Mr. President, a quick moment of personal privilege, if I may.
You're recognized.
Thank you very much. So on last Thursday, the pro tem and I had a small wager for a friendly basketball that took place last Saturday morning, game that took place last Saturday morning, and it was a barn burner right down to the last 3 minutes and 46 seconds when the girls from Jasper pulled the ball out and ran the weave and kept it away from the girls from Scottsboro, and it ended up being a 4-point score. So with that, I have what I said I would offer as my prized possession. Now, I will tell you, sir, that I've had some offers from the gallery that have said they would do me a GoFundMe page to set this up so I can replace that. I've got to get ethics to check on that, but I want to make good on my bet. So here I am, sir.
Mr. President.
Senator Reed.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President. Point of personal.
You're recognized.
Thank you, sir. I want to thank the majority leader for this luxurious gift and how proud I'll be of Rick being in a prominent location. So I'm very proud of the Jasper High girls. They did a fantastic job, The Scottsboro ladies did a great job as well, but excited to have state championship girls basketball players in Jasper, Alabama. So great for them. Also, Mr. Leader, I'm still going to give you this copy of the Greg Reed Gospel Music CD because I am trying to give them away every chance I get. So I'm not going to miss this opportunity. So thank you, Mr. President.
All right, Senator Wagner.
Mr. President,
Senator
I
Wagner.
have a report from the Committee on Rules.
Secretary read and receive the report from the Committee on Rules.
From the Committee on Rules, Special Order Calendar, Senate Resolution Number 28. Be it resolved by the Senate of the Legislature of Alabama that immediately upon the adoption of this resolution, the following business in the order set forth below shall be the special and paramount order of business for the 13th legislative day, taking precedence over the regular order of business or any pending or unfinished business. Introduction of bills, House messages, reports from standing committees, motions and resolutions. On page 15, Senate Bill 31 by Senator Wagner relating to distressed institutions of higher education. On page 17, Senate Bill 95 by Senator Figures relating to tobacco products. On page 1, Senate Bill number 12 by Senator Elliott relating to the RSA. On page 16, Senate Bill 32 by Senator Barfoot relating to retirement benefits. On page 10, Senate Bill 72 by Senators Orr and Melson relating to off-label medical treatment. On page 11, Senate Bill 114 by Senator Gavan relating to the Alabama Real Estate Appraisers Board. On page 11, Senate Bill 115 by Senator Gavan relating to the State Licensing Board for General Contractors. On page 12, Senate Bill 122 by Senator Kelly relating to the Alabama Board of Electrical Contractors. On page 12, Senate Bill 123 by Senator Kelly relating to the State Board of Auctioneers. On page 7, Senate Bill 125 by Senator Stewart relating to the State Board of Public Accountancy. On page 7, Senate Bill 126 by Senator Stewart relating to the Alabama Liquefied Petroleum Gas Board. On page 8, Senate Bill 132 by Senator Barfoot relating to the Alabama Board of Social Work Examiners. On page 8, Senate Bill 133 by Senator Barfoot relating to the Alabama Securities Commission. On page 13, Senate Bill 138 by Senator Gudger relating to the Plumbers and Gas Fitters Examining Board. And on page 9, Senate Bill 146 by Senator Coleman Madison relating to the Board of Examiners of Assisted Living Administrators.
All right, Senator Wagner, going to make a motion?
Oh, Mr. President, I move adoption of the special order calendar using the short roll.
All right, any objection? All right, hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
28 ayes, 1 nay. The special order calendar is adopted. All right, now I'll move on to introduction of bills.
Senate Bill number 188 by Senator Barfoot relating to sex offenders is referred to the Judiciary Committee. Senate Bill number 189 by Senator Stewart relating to appropriations to Tuskegee University is referred to the Committee on Finance and Taxation Education. Senate Bill number 190 by Senator Stewart and others relating to criminal procedure is referred to the Judiciary Committee. Senate Bill number 191 by Senator Gavan relating to the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board is referred to the Committee on Fiscal Responsibility and Economic Development. Senate Bill number 192 by Senator Gavan relating to code volumes is referred to the Judiciary Committee. Senate Bill number 193 by Senator Williams relating to Mobile County is referred to the Committee on Local Legislation, Mobile. Senate Bill number 194 by Senator Williams. A proposed constitutional amendment relating to real property owned by the University of Mobile is referred to the Committee on County and Municipal Governments. Senate Bill number 195 relating to supplemental appropriations is referred to the Committee on Finance and Taxation General Fund.
Mr. President, I'd like to have the title read, please.
Secretary, read the title.
Senate Bill number 195 to make a supplemental appropriation for the fiscal year ending in September 30th, 2024 from the State General Fund to the Governor's Contingency Fund in the amount of $10 million. Senate Bill number 196 by Senators Gavan and Smitherman relating to civil practice is referred to the Judiciary Committee.
Mr. President, I'd like to have the title read at length, please.
All right, Secretary, read the title.
Relating to civil practice to add sections 65573.1 and 65582 to the Code of Alabama 1975, to amend section 65574 Code of Alabama 1975 to provide certain pleading requirements in legal service liability actions, to further provide for the statute of limitation in such actions, and to provide for the choice of law with exception in such actions. Senate Bill number 197, a proposed constitutional amendment relating to Winston County, is referred to the Committee on Local Legislation by Senator Melson.
Mr. President, title read, please.
All right, Secretary, read the title.
To propose an amendment to the Constitution of Alabama of 2022 relating to Winston County to vacate a portion of former Winston County Road 1 as it existed prior to the creation of the Lewis Smith Lake from its intersection with Lot 6 of Tidwell's Yellow Creek Subdivision Number 2 to its intersection with Lewis Smith Lake. Senate Bill number 198 by Senator Albritton relating to sheriffs is referred to the Committee on Finance and Taxation General Fund.
Mr. President, I'd like to have the title read at length, please.
All right, Secretary, read the title.
Relating to sheriffs, to add section 3622-16-1 to the Code of Alabama 1975 to authorize the county commission of a county to set the salary of the county sheriff of the county prior to the next term of office. Senate Bill number 199 by Senator Albritton relating to emergency medical transport providers is referred to the Committee on Finance and Taxation General Fund.
Mr. President, I'd like to have the title read, please.
Secretary, read the title.
Relating to emergency medical transport providers to amend sections 4026B 91, 4026B 94, 4026B 95, and 4026B 99 Code of Alabama 1975 to extend the assessment on emergency medical providers through the fiscal quarter starting July 1, 2025. Senate Bill number 200 by Senator Kitchens relating to the Board of Nursing is referred to the Committee on Health Care.
Mr. President, I'd like to have the title read, please.
Secretary, read the title.
Relating to the Board of Nursing to amend Section 3421-2 Code of Alabama 1975 to revise the membership of the board to include a certified registered nurse anesthetist who is approved to engage in advanced practice nursing and to make non-substantive technical revisions to update existing code language to current style.
All right. All right, House messages. Secretary, call the first House message.
Senate confirmation number 63, appointing Timothy Vines to the Auburn University Board of Trustees, is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Senate confirmation number 64, appointing Quentin Riggins to the Auburn University Board of Trustees, is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Senate confirmation number 65, appointing Walt Woltos to the Auburn University Board of Trustees, is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Senate confirmation number 66, appointing Elizabeth Huntley to the Auburn University Board of Trustees, is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following engrossed House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate. House Bill number 51 by Representative Wilcox relating to sales and use tax exemptions is referred to the Committee on Finance and Taxation Education. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 110 by Representative Bedsole relating to commercial motor vehicle drivers is referred to the Committee on Transportation and Energy. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 156 by Representative Robertson and others relating to campaign finance is referred to the Committee on County and Municipal Government. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 70 by Representative McCampbell relating to the Board of Dental Examiners is referred to the Committee on Health Care. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 79 by Representative Gavan relating to crimes and offenses is referred to the Committee on the Judiciary. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following engrossed House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate. House Bill number 164 by Representative Robbins and others relating to consumer protection is referred to the Judiciary Committee. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following engrossed House bill and ordered the same sent forthwith to the Senate. House Bill number 66 by Representative Brown relating to seafood products is referred to the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following engrossed House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate. House Bill number 101 by Representative Clark relating to elections is referred to the Committee on Finance and Taxation General Fund. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following engrossed House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate. House Bill 126 by Representative Halsey relating to individuals with sensory needs and invisible disabilities is referred to the Committee on Veterans and Military Affairs. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 138 by Representative Reynolds relating to supplemental appropriations is referred to the Committee on Finance and Taxation General Fund. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill 252 by Representative Pettis and others relating to Lauderdale County is referred to the Committee on Local Legislation. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill 231 by Representative Smith relating to Chilton County with notice and proof is referred to the Committee on Local Legislation. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 170 by Representative Oliver with notice and proof relating to Tallapoosa County is referred to the Committee on Local Legislation. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following engrossed House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate. House Bill 196 by Representative Ingram relating to the Land Commissioner is referred to the Committee on State Government Affairs. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following engrossed House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate. House Bill number 176 by Representative Lomax relating to aviation is referred to the Committee on Transportation and Energy. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives originated and passed the following engrossed House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate. House Bill number 173 by Representative Halsey and others relating to public K-12 education is referred to the Committee on Education Policy. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk.
All right, now move on to committee reports. Secretary, call the first committee.
From the Committee on Finance and Taxation Education, House Bill number 129 receives a favorable report by a vote of 10 ayes and 3 nays. These bills, next committee.
These bills received a second reading to be placed on the calendar for next legislative day. Secretary, call the next committee.
From the Healthcare Committee, House Bill number 237 receives a favorable report with 1 amendment by a vote of 7 ayes, 1 nay, and 2 abstentions.
This bill has received a second reading to be placed on the calendar for next legislative day. Secretary, call the next committee.
From the Tourism Committee, House Bill number 151 receives a favorable report with substitute by a vote of 10 ayes and 2 nays. From the Tourism Committee, House Bill number 152 receives a favorable report by a vote of 10 ayes and 2 nays.
These bills received a second reading to be placed on the calendar for next legislative day. This concludes committee reports. Now move on to motions and resolutions. Senator Orr.
I've got a resolution.
All right, Secretary, read and receive the resolution.
Senate Joint Resolution number 29 by Senator Orr and others, affirming the state of Alabama's continued support of the United States of America in recognizing Israel as a sovereign nation.
Mr. President, I'd like to move immediate consideration if your gentleman's okay with that and add all senators as co-sponsors.
All right. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members.
All right. Thanks, Senator Orr. Senator Reed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a proclamation here I'd like to offer that is related to proclaiming March 5th, 2024 as Space Day, which is today. You all are aware we had a number of students and other folks that were here. We heard from some astronauts earlier, so I'll offer this. Mr. President,
All right, Secretary, read and receive the resolution.
Senate Joint Resolution number 30 by Senator Reed, proclaiming March the 5th, 2024 as Space Day in Alabama.
Mr. President,
Senator Reed.
I would like to ask for unanimous consent for immediate consideration.
All right. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
And then all senators be added as co-sponsors.
All right. Any objection? All right. Hearing none, so ordered.
And then make a motion that we approve.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion's adopted.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thanks, Senator Reed. Any other motions or resolutions? All right. If not, call the first bill on the calendar.
On page 15 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 31 by Senator Wagner, relating to distressed institutions of higher education, BIR pending.
Mr. President, move adoption of the BIR.
I'd like to speak to the BIR, please.
Okay. You're recognized.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I understand this bill is important to a lot of people in this hall, and it saves an institution. But I do want to go on record, not so much as opposed to it, in terms of how we're getting there and the significance and how this bill took legs and the importance of it versus other institutions of higher learning that has gone through some hard times and hardships and has also asked the state of Alabama to help. I represent Stillman College, which is a private school also, just like Birmingham Southern. Was losing its accreditation, was losing student body, finances was in disarray, came to the state of Alabama, to the governor's office, to the finance office, and asked for support. Everything fell on deaf ear. That's an HBCU. And as soon as this came about with Birmingham Southern, everybody jumped on board, ready to save little old poor Birmingham Southern. Stillman College could have been gone, and I do give credit to the Trump and the Biden administration. It first started under the Trump administration with Congressman Bradley Byrne, who came to the aid and heard us when we went to D.C. to visit to talk about Stillman College, to try to get them some help under the HBCU initiative, and brought them in and helped them out with some debt. And as they wiped away some of that debt was the only way that this school was saved. It seems like when there any times that there are HBCUs or any minority institution or people of color that are in need, I see this sometimes with storms, when schools get burned down, how quick schools go back up in certain communities, how aid come to certain communities. I'm reminded that even when I had the city of Marion over in my community that was out of water, and we were told that there was no major emergency to bring in water to a city, but then there was another county that had a same kind of water problem during that time, and EMA found emergency water to come in by the big tonnage truckloads. But it always seemed to be when there are an African-American community is hurting, nobody ever want to come to our aid. While I'm not against Birmingham Southern, because Birmingham Southern started in my hometown, Greensboro, then moved to Birmingham. And I can remember the day that the president, almost 2 years ago now, I was flying back in December back off a trip, and I was asked, could the president of this great university asked, could he meet with me? And I went to the campus and I met with him. And at that time, if I don't get money by January, we're gonna shut down. And then the needle kept moving. If I don't get no money by this day, we're gonna shut down. So I don't even know the real story of the shutdown and why. And I hope in this bill, somebody can help me understand the urgency why the state of Alabama is lending this money. We got into the lending business, and we're gonna set this precedent to do so. I just wanted to be remembered. So when other institutions come to us, that we're not putting deaf ear on those institutions to survive also. I'm gonna vote for this bill to allow it to happen. But I be remiss not to let it be known that HBCUs are part of this august educational community that we have here in the state of Alabama, and they are just as important and serve just as more of an important function than any of PWIs. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm not here to knock your bill, but I just want the message to be very clear. That for we do for one, we should be willing to do for others, and do for them all, and not cherry pick and choose because certain members can bring it and say that they want it to happen, and we make it happen automatically. And even after our state treasurer said that this was a bad deal, we've even come back a second time, and now we're putting it over in AIC and making them a lending institution, which I still have some questions about that. And we find a way to make these things happen for those to whom we want to make it happen for. And that is an issue that I have when it comes to HBCUs, when you all lend a deaf ear to the people in my community versus those that you really want to help. Yes, every child that goes to Birmingham Southern deserves an education. For those who have started, should continue to be able to get that education. But so did those students at Stillman. And Stillman is still not out of the waters. While this piece of legislation was drafted carefully to make sure that it could fit nobody but Birmingham Southern. while it is general in nature, make it seem like anybody can get involved here, but it is clearly drafted for no one else but Birmingham Southern. For that, I do have a problem with. And that other institutions of higher education and learning cannot be a part of this. And we're talking about $30 million. I do not know not one time that an HBCU, whether it's Alabama State, whether it's Alabama A&M, two of our flagship HBCUs, have been given the opportunity to get $30 million at any one given time by the state of Alabama. Alabama A&M, basically, through its federal land grant institution, had been cheated out of the state of Alabama by $528 million over the last several years. And yet and still, no one talks about making Alabama A&M whole. Tuskegee Institute, more than $400 million have not been given their fair share of land grant money that comes from the federal government back through the state of Alabama, same as Auburn University gets. Auburn has got more than 8-to-1 more time than these universities when they should have been getting their fair share. So if we're gonna be talking about equity, maybe that's why we need to get rid of DEI, because nobody wants to be equitable anymore. If we're gonna talk about equity and we wanna be fair to everybody, treat our HBCUs just like you would treat anyone else. All of our students deserve the right to be educated in this state, same as these students at Birmingham Southern. We want them to get their education. I want their doors to stay open, but let's be fair about it. And let's open this up. If we're gonna open this door, then let it be open for everybody. Not starting writing legislation just to curve in one particular group and make sure that they're made whole, where HBCUs, historical black colleges and universities are falling to the wayside on a daily basis, struggling just to survive because we don't adequately fund them to the tune to which they should be adequately funded. We keep giving them little crumbs, but yet and still, PWIs are giving money that they deserve more over and over and over again.
All right,
More
time's
projects are
expired
being
on the
built.
BR. Senator Wagner, do you want to use previous roll on this or long roll?
Long roll, please.
All right, Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chasteen. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman-Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Reed. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Shelnut. Mr. Singleton. Mr. Smitherman. Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stutz. Mr. Wagner. Ms. Weaver. Mr. Williams.
(26 ayes, 2 nays). The BR is adopted. All right, Senator Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. President, members. This is an issue that's been well vetted, talked about last session. It passed last year, giving the state treasurer authority to handle the loan process, and that did not work out. So we have an amended bill that allows the executive director of the Commission on Higher Education to handle the loan process. So that's where we stand. I think we've talked about this issue, and everybody in this chamber knows what's at stake. Yes, Birmingham Southern has fallen on some hard financial times, and this is a way to hopefully allow them to continue. And I'll be honest, if this does not pass, they're probably closing their doors this spring. So it's somewhat crucial. In committee, Senator Orr had some good recommendations, and I have a substitute bill that encompasses Senator Orr's
All right, so we're on this committee amendment.
move
gonna move to
adoption
table?
of committee amendment.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, did you say adopt or a table?
I'm sorry, yes.
Table?
The committee member.
All right, got a motion to table the committee amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The committee amendment is tabled. All right, Senator Wagner.
Mr. President, I have a substitute.
All right, Secretary read and receive the substitute.
Substitute for Senate Bill number 31 by Senator Wagner.
Mr. President,
Senator.
if
Mr. President, move adoption of substitute.
Okay. All right, got a motion to move. You want to speak on the motion?
could I be recognized?
You're recognized.
Okay, thank you. Members, let me just say this. We're talking about passing basically we've already spoke on this issue as a body. We already spoke on this issue, whether or not the intent and will of the legislature was to give provide the loan under certain circumstances. The school has met every circumstance that was laid out for them. It is overly collateralized in terms of collateral to address the particular loan. We're here now because of the mechanism of implementing the loan was not very structured to the point where if you met the criteria that was established, then the next phase was then to move to the implementation of it. I think you'll hear some discussions about some of the changes that were made so that we could be able to implement it. It does not change the will and desires of both houses and the executive branch whatsoever. It does not increase from whatever amount that was and whatever's necessary to get it. So as Senator Wagner has mentioned, if we don't get this done and get it done in a timely manner, then the school will close. You said, what else does that mean? That means that we are in the process at the Commerce Department of in many of y'all's district of trying to secure businesses, and that will bring in 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 million in your annual gross receipts and for your services that you provide. If Birmingham Southern is not able to continue, the county of Jefferson County will lose $100 million annually out of its GOP, gross national product. So we're not only talking about the necessity for the school, but we are talking about necessity for a county to sustain its services, to be able to maintain the $100 million that this provides each year for the county. So I would hope that we will be able to go on and move this forward, just under those three things alone, if nothing else. Number one, we've already passed this, and it's just a matter of the changes necessary for implementation. Number two is, as I said, about the economic impact that it would have as well. And number three, in order for the school to function, they need to be able to get this loan that the state has approved for in a timely manner. Let's be clear of one thing, is that, and I think this is something maybe lost in what we're trying to get done, is that this body and the governor has signed the bill, and the bill has become law in terms of the school being able to get it. We're here to try to audit the procedures of the implementation of the bill. So that's why it's necessary for us to go on and get this done, because it has to be done in a very timely manner. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, and I'll yield back to the Senator Wagner.
Thanks, Senator Smitherman. All right, Senator Orr.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I just want to speak on the substitute. I want to thank the sponsor for bringing this substitute. As he said in committee, we had a lot of concerns. The substitute gets us, I say, about to the 30-yard line, maybe the 25-yard line. Still have some issues. I do have an amendment, but I've talked to the sponsor. I understand where we are. I don't think my amendment would be acceptable to the sponsor, because we've had a lot of dialogue, and it would put members in a difficult place. I want to point out just a few shortcomings of the substitute, and then we'll certainly move on. I can't support the bill because, as Senator Singleton has said, who's next? What's next? And he said in committee, he said it this evening already, and this puts us on a path that concerns me greatly fiscally for future needs of other colleges that might be out there. The below market rate of the state revolving fund, the state revolving fund pays 2.7%. That's the interest rate. It's below market. Then it says in the substitute, any loan made pursuant to this program shall be paid back within 20 years. There's no ability of the AIC director to set a payment schedule for the loan, saying monthly repayments, annual repayments with accrued interest on that. And then other little things such as the recipient intends to meet, such as specific steps that they intend. The old bill had must. There's a lot of language differences even in the substitute that still bring concern. So all that to say this, I want to again commend the gentleman for bringing this bill. I know he's under pressure. I know those in the Jefferson County area are under pressure, but it's certainly something that in my humble opinion, does not make good fiscal policy for our state. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Senator Orr.
Mr. President,
Senator Singleton.
I just wanted to understand a little bit more about what the sub does, because I know the bill is being vetted, but I don't know what the sub is. This all what the sub does with what he just talked about? I'm sorry.
Basically, it moves who's going to administer the program, from the state treasurer to the Commission on Higher Education. That's the main difference in the legislation.
Okay, because I've had those concerns. I was going to come back and ask the question as he just rose up. How is the repayment is going to be? How long is it going to be? And if in fact there's a default, then will the state of Alabama then own Birmingham Southern based on how it's being collateralized, or is there some other collateral being put up outside of its property and buildings?
In my opinion, all that's being put up is the property, the campus itself.
So if there's a default,
150, 200 acre campus and valuable real estate.
So if there's a default, then the state of Alabama would then own Birmingham Southern at that time.
In my opinion, that's true.
Okay. All right. And it's a 20-year loan?
20-year loan.
At that 2.7%?
Right.
Okay. Currently, how many students over at Birmingham Southern, do you know?
Right now, there's probably 700. Of course, this publicity hurt their enrollment. But if we do what I hope we do tonight, you're going to see it increase. They have a lot of applicants waiting on what we do tonight and what the House will do. So, but right now, they probably have 750 students. But it's never been a huge Auburn, Alabama, UAB type. It's a small college. So you're not looking at thousands
Same as
and
Stillman,
thousands.
small college,
Right.
never been huge. You know, I would like to at least hopefully that if one day that this ever happens to a HBCU or other college, that you would give the same kind of support to this as we're going to give to you today.
I could do it if it's the same criteria as what we're talking about tonight.
I mean, well, the criteria is that they're going to lose their campus. I mean,
Right.
right, because we're still not out of the woods over at Stillman today. We're still not out of the woods. And, you know, I would be remiss not to stand up and speak for a school in my district, just like you are standing up and speaking for schools in your district. You're talking about economic engine. I would lose that same kind of economic engine in Tuscaloosa that would be detrimental to my district also if it is being lost. You know, but I would just hope with the same zeal that we hear today that we can get the same thing back. With that, I'll stand down and let y'all go on and do what it is you're going to do, and hopefully Birmingham Southern can survive. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, I renew my motion to adopt the substitute.
All right, do you want to use the long roll or previous roll?
Previous roll.
Previous roll. Any objection? All right, hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
Twenty-seven ayes, 2 nays. The Senator Wagner substitute's adopted. Tongue twister.
Mr. President, I move passage of Senate Bill 31 as substituted.
Long roll. All right. Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chasteen. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman-Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Reed. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Shelnut. Mr. Singleton. Mr. Smitherman.
Aye.
Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stutz. Mr. Wagner.
Aye.
Ms. Weaver. Mr. Williams.
Thank you.
All right, 22 ayes, 5 nays. Senate Bill 31 passes substituted.
Thank you, member.
Thanks, Senator Wagner.
Thank you.
All right, Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 17 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 95 by Senator Figures relating to tobacco products. BR pending.
Mr. President.
Senator Reed.
Mr. President, unless my colleague, the gentleman from Jefferson, has an objection, Senator Figures is not here today. I'd like to carry this bill over so that the Rules Chairman can add it to another calendar when she's here.
I'll just, can I be recognized? I'll yield to whatever the pro tem so desires. She had just asked me if I would handle it because she saw the, where it was on the special order, but I don't have any problems if that's something that you desire us to do.
Sir, I was just trying to take care of Senator Figures, and she's already been taken care of. So proceed.
All right, Senator Smithman.
Thank you. If I don't know what the count was before I said this. Yeah, do we need a fresh roll? Yeah, y'all see what I'm hesitating about. That one was kind of up and down. So if we could have BR and ask to call the roll.
All right, Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chastain. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Reed. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Shellnut. Mr. Singleton. Mr. Smitherman. Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stutz. Mr. Wagner. Ms. Weaver. Mr. Williams.
30 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 17 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 95 by Senator Figures relating to tobacco products. Committee amendment pending.
All right, Senator Smitherman.
Mr. President, I think we want to adopt the amendment. So if we'll move for adoption of the amendment.
All right, using previous roll.
Yes, sir.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
30 ayes, 0 nays. The committee amendment is adopted. All right, Senator Smitherman.
Thank you, Mr. President. It says that here's some of the facts about this bill. I said, according to data provided by the CDC, Alabama has the third highest percentage of vapors in the nation behind only Oklahoma and Kentucky. The percentage of Alabama citizens who vape every day is also third in the nation behind Oklahoma and Tennessee. Nearly 20% of high school students in Alabama said they vape. It is estimated that 108,000 minors currently alive in Alabama will die prematurely due to smoking or vaping. The Drug Education Council reports an increasing number of middle school children are vaping in Alabama, and they are seeing children as young as 7 and 8 years old who are vaping. Vaping nicotine is highly addictive for minors, as a single vape cartridge contains the equivalent amount of nicotine as an entire pack of cigarettes. Vaping can lead to anxiety and depression, cause lung damage, and expose people who vape to cancer causing chemicals. The amendment protects those minors who have prescription and orders for medical devices given by doctors who are licensed to practice in the state of Alabama. The bill provides that for the, I'm going to get the exact procedures. The procedures. Says that it is unlawful for any individual under the age of 21 years of age to purchase, use, possess, or transport tobacco as a tobacco product or electronic nicotine delivery system or other electronic battery-powered devices capable of being used to deliver any e-liquid substitute, tobacco, CBC oil, THC oil, herbal extracts, or nicotine salt, or any analog thereof, or any other substance to individuals through the inhaling of vapors. The purpose of this section, a violation is committed upon mere possession of an electronic nicotine delivery system or other electronic battery-powered device as described in subsection 1, irresponsible of which particular e-liquid or substance. It shall not be unlawful for an individual under the age of 21 years of age who is an employee of a tobacco product, electronic nicotine delivery system, or alternative to be in possession thereof. It is unlawful for any individual under the age of 20 years of age to present or offer to another person proof of identity. If a minor is cited for any violation under this section, the citing agency shall make reasonable efforts to notify a parent, legal guardian, or legal custodian of the. Go right on.
Mr. President,
Senator Gudger.
I've worked a little bit with Senator Figures on this bill. This bill allows anybody that's under 21, and they have to be 21 to distribute. Anyone that's working at a store to being able to sell to them, they have to make sure that they're under 21. And anybody that's in school or any other entity, if they get caught vaping also in school of any aspect of vaping, whether that's oil, a burning substitute, whatever it might be, they have to notify their parents. Having said that, if it's okay with the senator, I'd like to make a motion to go forward with previous roll to adopt this bill.
That'd be fine.
All right. Any objection?
Adopting.
Using previous roll?
21 for vape.
All right. Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
All right. 31 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 95 passes. Thanks, Senator Figures. Secretary, call next bill.
On page one of the calendar, Senate Bill number 12 by Senator Elliott relating to the RSA. BR pending.
Mr. President.
Senator Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this bill deals with your local elected officials and allows them to continue to collect their retirement and earn their salary. There's no impacts to general fund or education trust fund. It just means that the local government will be paying whatever they would have been paying if the local elected official happened to not be a retiree. And I would go ahead and move adoption of the budget isolation resolution, please.
Would you like to use previous roll?
Using previous roll.
Any objection? All right. Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
All right. 32 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page one of the calendar, Senate Bill number 12 relating to retirement by Senator Elliott. Committee amendment pending.
Mr. President, I move adoption of the committee amendment.
Could you explain it? I'm sorry, Mr. President.
All right.
What
Senator
does the
Singleton.
committee amendment do?
Yes, sir. So this is the committee amendment that we got on in committee that deals with, make sure we're talking about local elected officials other than elected superintendents. So typically our mayors and commissioners and folks like that are lower paid than our superintendents. So this makes sure that we clarify the superintendent language. So we're doing local electeds exclusive of superintendents.
What does this do to their retirement again?
So if you've got a mayor or a commissioner, whatever, that earns a salary currently, if they're retired, they're hitting that salary cap and they're not allowed to earn their whole mayor's salary. So your local elected officials are going to love this because they're going to be able to actually earn the salary that they were supposed to get as a local elected official. And it doesn't mean they either have to unretire or, I don't think that's a word, sorry, they have to come back out of retirement or hit that retirement cap.
Okay.
Okay, so Mr. President, we're moving to adopt the committee amendment, please, sir.
All right, would you like to use previous roll?
Using previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Straw Britton. Mr. Williams.
32 ayes, 0 nays. The committee amendment's adopted.
Mr. President,
Senator Elliott.
I have an amendment.
All right, Secretary Reed, receive the amendment.
Okay, members, Mr. President.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Amendment to Senate Bill 12 by Senator Elliott. Replace line 6 on page 1 with the following. Replace line 9 on page 1 with the following. Replace line 20 on page 1 with the following. Replace line 23 on page 1 with the following.
Okay, Mr. President.
Senator Elliott.
Members, this clears up some language in the bill, and instead of calling the person an elected official, it calls them a person who has retired from, and it changes that elected official language to simply say a person who has retired from who also happens to be an elected official. The majority of this actually occurs, this amendment actually occurs in the synopsis of all places, so you can tell how impactful that is. But the thought was that this would be much clearer in how it was executed. And I'll yield if there are any questions on it. Okay. Thank you. Mr. President, move adoption of the amendment using previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Straw Britton. Mr. Williams.
32 ayes, 0 nays. The Senator Elliott amendment is adopted. All right, Senator Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move final passage of SB 12 as amended using previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Straw Britton. Mr. Williams.
32 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 12 passes amended. Thank you, Senator Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, members.
All right, Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 16 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 32 by Senator Barfoot relating to retirement benefits. BR pending.
Senator Barfoot.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill, under existing law, if you are convicted of a crime and the court orders restitution, there are certain ways in order for that victim to go by receiving that restitution. If you are an employee or previous employee, have retirement benefits from the ERS or the TRS, this bill would simply amend or take out one of the requirements before that restitution could be had, and that is it deletes the case has been assigned to the District Attorney's Restitution Recovery Division. Why it's important to delete that provision is because for a victim to be paid under the Restitution Recovery Division, an individual who has been convicted has to be at least 90 days behind on payments before we can try to receive those benefits. So this just deletes that so that some folks maybe not be able to game the system. See my colleague across the way, he may have some questions, or if you move for the BIR and then have some conversation with you.
No. You're talking about taking folks' money before that time. I mean, you're talking about 90 days. You want to take a provision out that will go into the DA's fund, right? Or that the DA's will be responsible for collecting under current law.
Under current law, there are three things: restitutions, fines, court costs, fees, and any of the financial obligation in a criminal case ordered by a circuit or district court judge in this state are not subject to the exemptions that are set out in law, provided all of the following, this is the current way it's written, all of the following are satisfied. The amount of restitution orders in the amount of $1,000 or greater. Number two, The person subject to the order is a retiree or beneficiary who's currently receiving benefits from the teacher's retirement system or the ERS. And then thirdly is under existing law, the case has been assigned to the district attorney's restitution recovery division. That change takes out the restitution recovery division. The reason that's important is because you've had somebody who has already been convicted and has been ordered by a court to pay restitution to a victim. And sometimes what happens is that those offenders who order that restitution, who are former or current employees, have retirement accounts through ERS or TRS, they can get up to that 90-day period, not pay, and then pay a little bit on that 90-day period, so where they're not behind, so that the recovery, it never goes in the DA's hands to try to recover that. And that just strikes this part out to where the courts can say, hey, you owe this money, it's more than $1,000, and this person is receiving benefits from either the ERS or TRS, so they can't string it out if you're supposed to receive the restitution. You can't string it out.
So that means that they'll be able to get the money immediately then?
Quicker, more faster.
Faster.
Yep, in the restitution context, that's correct. We want our victims to get paid. And we don't want that 90-day clause in there to where we are having to wait on somebody to fall behind 90 days before it goes to the DA's office to try to prosecute them to get the money to the victim.
All right. Okay.
All right. Mr. President, I move for adoption of the BIR, use previous rule.
All right, any objection?
Objection on the previous roll.
Use long roll?
You can just take me off.
Okay. All right, hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
31 ayes, 0 nays, the BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 16 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 32 by Senator Barfoot relating to retirement benefits.
Senator Barfoot.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Singleton, did you have any other questions? Or hearing no other questions, Mr. President, I'd move for adoption of final passage of SB 32 using previous rule.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
31 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 32 passes. Thanks, Senator Barfoot. Secretary, call next bill.
On page 10 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 72 by Senators Orr and Melson relating to off-label medical treatment. BIR pending.
Mr. President,
Senator Orr.
I'd move adoption of the BIR using the previous roll.
Mr. President, we'll speak to the BR.
All right, you're recognized.
This is not a, explain this off-label medical treatment.
Well, we got two doctors in the House, but that's when, as I understand it, Senator, a doctor can prescribe an FDA-approved drug, but for something different. Let's say I've got a runny nose, and he can give me a drug that's for drippy eyes or goopy eyes, but it'll help my runny nose, so it's off-label, but it's FDA-approved.
Which we call generic sometimes.
Generic would be one that's outside of patent protection, but
Okay, but this
would be, you're using it for some other ailment to treat something else other than what it was approved for, even though it's okay for people to.
Okay, so what is this bill going to do with that?
Well, there's concern that at times when doctors and my co-sponsor can certainly come up here and explain better. There is a committee sub to it that the Medical Association and others worked for in committee, and so that was adopted, and it's very short. But it will provide doctors the assurance that the medical board won't go after them if they're prescribing FDA-approved drugs for something else, some other ailment that they believe is in the best interest of their patient.
Okay, all right.
So, Mr. President, I'd renew my motion at this time.
All right, previous roll.
Previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Williams.
31 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 10 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 72 by Senators Orr and Melson relating to off-label medical treatment. Committee substitute pending.
I'd move adoption of the committee substitute using the previous roll.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
31 ayes, 0 nays. The committee substitute's adopted. All right, Senator Orr.
I would move third reading using the previous roll.
Question.
No objection.
Now, what did the substitute do differently?
The substitute really cleaned up a lot. I can give you mine.
Is it more technical stuff?
Request of the medical community, one of the main things it did was the original bill had like nurse practitioners and others, and we narrowed it down to just the physician has this ability or authority, so not those that don't have an MD or DO. It narrowed that scope down considerably as far as the person that can actually prescribe off-label without, it doesn't say that others can't do it, but as you know, they're under the supervision anyway of a doctor, and they're the ones ultimately who are accountable to the medical board.
So the doctors are the only ones that's going to get the immunity?
Yes, but they're the ones ultimately who have to sign off on the prescription of another person, so it kind of is circular.
That's a big change, but okay.
It was, but it's a good step forward.
That's a big change.
I renew my motion using the previous roll, Mr. President.
All right. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
31
ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 72 passes. Thank you, Senator Orr. Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 11 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 114 by Senator Gavan relating to the Alabama Real Estate Appraisers Board. BR pending.
Mr. President, I would move the BIR using previous roll without objection.
All right, any objection?
Mr. President, yes.
All right, Senator Singleton.
This is where the rabbit can get the gun at right here.
Excuse me?
I said, this is where the rabbit can get the gun.
Go ahead.
This is where the rabbit can get the gun. Yep, the rabbit got the gun now. There ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. So we're gonna talk a little while the rabbit got the gun, because a lot have been rushed on me today. I just don't understand where all this pressure is coming from. Get choice out before anybody knew anything about it. You know, I had a gaming bill that was still hot off the press. The paper was still warm on it. Didn't get a chance to read it. So this is a good time right here that I don't have to worry about being clotured or anything of that nature, because the rabbit has the gun. So I know I can talk an hour. How many of these we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, that'll take us all the way into the morning time, so that'll be good. Because I'm trying to understand exactly where we are and what we're doing, because there's so many moving parts around here right now. I don't know where we are. I'm just being told, instructed, wait to listen here, to hear somebody over there, talk to somebody over there, and really not knowing what's going on. So maybe we need to slow things down a little bit so everybody can get back on track. This Senate is a deliberative body, so we don't need us rushing nothing out here, okay? And so these are sunset bills. We got off sunset to come back on, but we're back at sunset here within this calendar. And so I'm going to go on and let you move for the adoption of the BIR, but I'm going to talk my hour on this bill. Thank you very much.
All right, Senator Gavan.
I would move the BIR using previous roll without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
All right, 32 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 11 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 114 by Senator Gavan relating to the Real Estate Appraisers Board.
Mr. President, what this does is the Real Estate Appraisers Board is actually one of the more better behaving boards, if you will. And so we were going to extend them for 4 years, and that's pretty much all there is to it. And so I think the senator from Hale County wants to speak for a while.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right.
That'll give us to 9 o'clock here. Y'all didn't stay later a long time. It's good. Yes, can I get a water, please? Thank you. Yeah. So we're gonna slow this thing down a little bit. I know it's getting late, and I'm glad it's getting late on you, and people can storm out, do what they want to do. I'll probably get down to my last 10 minutes to make a quorum call and get you back in here. So, ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. So the rabbit has the gun now. So I would hope that we would slow this process down and look at just what we're doing. We're passing bills that really doesn't even move the needle in the state of Alabama. We're going fast as fast can go. I don't know if anybody knows where we're going. I know that I was talking to one of the gentlemen today that I thought was on the deal committee, but then he said it was hot to him. He didn't know. So, and I know if he didn't know and he was on the deal committee, I know I don't know. And so that's what concerns me is what's the rush? We're in the 14th day of the legislative session, and we're rushing through a lot of stuff that could be important to the state and important to our well-being and what we're doing here in this state, and we're going through it. This Real Estate Appraisal Board being extended for 4 more years, I'm gonna stay germane to the subject matter, okay, is very important to us. And I know that we have a good board over there that has been doing a lot of good things, but yet and still, I'm sure that they take their time and go through their process. And this is a process, a deliberative process here in the state that we need to do. We pass a bill that's unprecedented, giving money to a private school, and then we rushed into a recess, and then we come back and we go into a committee where we got the choose bill out when we already have choices in the state. You already got private school, you already have parochial school, you already have public school, we have, what's those other schools we just did? What's the name of that school? Charter schools. The only thing different is that the money's just not going over there now, so that's what makes it a choice, the money. It ain't about that they don't have a place to go already. It's the money that makes it the choice. Okay, that's what it is. I guess the appropriation that we're gonna make over there for $100 million that could grow up to $400 million, who knows what it could grow to. But that came out of committee, and we didn't even know it was coming today. And we could have had some amendments prepared and didn't get an opportunity to do that. And then we had a gaming bill to come out while we were being communicated to, and I must give credit to the chairman of the committee that there was communications, but yet and still, that thing was hot. I still don't know what's in that piece of the legislation. I understood the constitutional amendment, but the enabling is what we're gonna have to digest. And I think that we can get to where we need to go on both of these bills, but yet they're just moving too fast. Just moving like this rabbit that I'm trying to hold down right now, And I think that when we do that, we find ourselves doing a lot of things with unintended consequences. And so while we seek to have a choice for those kids who are already have a choice to go to schools where they want to. The unintended consequence is going to be, or maybe the intended consequence, I'm sorry, I may not call this an unintended consequence. The intended consequence is to leave the poor babies that are in public school behind. It's not an unintended consequence, it's an intended consequence. And so, with that, it puts us in another posture to where things need to be at a deliberate pace. I didn't come here today planning on to slow things down and or to talk for an hour on any particular bill. But as I sit back, there's a lot of things that cause pause and concerns to me that I see now that we need to slow it down. That I have to use the only tools that I have in my chamber to be able to make that one shot. And that's to slow it down. So we can get a better understanding on where we are, where we're going, and what are the intended consequences versus those that are unintended consequences. We've been going 3 days a week since the very first day. And this real estate board is important to us, and we're going to make sure that it gets its approval tonight. That is going to continue to October the 1st, 2028. And so because we're moving so fast, we got to look at those things that are important to the state of Alabama and those things that are important for the state of Alabama. We're passing bills that I personally think that we're not moving the needle for the state. DEI, hurt business, could have that lasting consequence on industrial development and economic development. I would rather have seen workforce bills coming up now, things that could move the needle in the state, that could make a difference in someone's life to where we need to move the state of Alabama. Because I too am Alabama just like you. I love this state. I want to see what's best for her. Even though I don't get the best treatment from her all the time, I still love her because she's my state also. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to run away. I'm not going to leave. And we're going to stay here and fight to be recognized and to be heard, to make sure that the state of Alabama gets her due. Even on the gaming bill, I think we're leaving a lot of money on the table. In the economic development, to being able to build facilities that are destinations to the state, to bring in more revenue in economies, to bring new people into our state for tourism and money that will come in this door, to be able to create another revenue stream, to be able to make up for some lost revenues that's possibly going to go out of the door from the coronavirus. We saw over $58 billion come into our state surrounding that incident. And so all of that money had a shelf life, and it will go away in 2026 unless there are some extensions there too to allow us to spend that money. And once that money go away, the state of Alabama will be faced to look at her budgets on her own. There is some opioid settlement money out there. I still like to know where that money is going. I don't see any treatment centers coming up. I don't see anything that's coming up or being proposed to say that we need treatment for those people who got hooked on the drugs versus us just getting the money and then spending it elsewhere instead of treating the problem by which the court gave us the money to do the treatment for. That's a problem. We got pots and pots of money that's out there that we need to be standing here talking about how do we get things done in this state. Gaming could bring us a lot of dollars that could help fill some of those gaps that we are going to be experiencing after the federal dollars are gone away. People here cry all the time, pass resolutions about what the federal government should or should not do, but once we get those dollars, we never, ever send them back. We try to spend each and every one of them as we need to. And so, in order for us to be able to do this, we bring a good gaming commission, then we can grow some more real estate in this state. We can grow more houses, we can grow more commercial buildings, we can grow more restaurants, we can grow more entertainment centers. We can grow in this state if we bring this dollar so this real estate board can then have the opportunity to thrive and be able to help create new markets in the state of Alabama. But we can't do that if we're gonna leave all the money on the table. If we're gonna leave dollars that could be spent and making sure that all of our children, both rural and urban, all that are public and private, and parochial, everybody could be treated equally and fair. The bill that is being proposed is totally going to be unequal and not fair. Because public education under the Constitution is the one thing that we're bound to give to our kids. It's a public education. The law doesn't say that we have to give them a private school education. The law doesn't say that we have to give them a parochial school education. The law does not even talk about a charter school education, but the law is very clear on what we should be doing for public education. And when we look at our children who are in our public schools, and we have some great public schools out here, and then we have some public schools that are on the other end because of what we see in terms of funding and what's fair and what's unfair to those schools and those children who are in need. I got babies in districts that are sitting in schools with broke windows, that are cold, leaking roofs, can't learn because the atmosphere is not conducive to learning. We got to change that in this state and be able to look at our model and how we fund education to the point to where we're just not giving away money to make sure that children are going elsewhere. So we need a real good CHOOSE Act, one where we'll create hope and opportunity for our students' education. Thank you, Senator. And if we could choose that for our students, giving each and every one of them the opportunity to be great. Alabama cannot be great without her most valuable asset being taken care of, and that's your people. Your people is your most valuable asset. We sometimes overlook them in business. We want to work them for nothing. We want everybody to show up and say that we don't have enough people working, but we got to give people a fair and livable wage. I know that my folks work for 400 years for free. And we're not going to be doing that anymore. So if we're going to advocate for children, then advocate for children. But I say this all the time, that we have organizations that here in education that advocate for everybody but children. We got those superintendents organizations. We got those for principals. We have those for teachers. We have those organizations for school board. But there's not one organization that's down here that represents children. Not a one. So therefore, I have to be an advocate for the children of the state of Alabama to make sure that they get all that is due to them. Make sure that they'll be able to grow up and buy a good piece of real estate so that they can pass through this board and their name will be etched into the homeowner's record. To make sure that their name will be etched into the business record. Make sure that they can be in the commercial record of being able to own commercial property, but we can't do that without an educated society. When all of our children have equal access to education. So what we're about to do is to create what I call legal segregation again. While we call it then back in the Plessy versus Ferguson, separate but equal. I don't know what was equal about it, but they call it separate but equal because I can remember going to one of those separate but equal schools when the quality of my textbook didn't look like the kid textbook across the way. When I had to read textbooks with messages in here or torn out pages and still be responsible for the lesson plan for that day. Yes, I lived through some of those times when I was on one campus and they called it the East Campus was for all black kids, and they called the West Campus was for all white kids. And they called that integration. This just changed really in the 2000s in my hometown of Hale County, when we got our first black superintendent and they just made one school system. We operated under a 1974 Federal Court Act that made those systems that way, where kids from the West Campus of the majority white school would be on a bus and come to the East Campus, the majority black school, for one class a day, and they called that integration. I went to school under that system. And so now we want to take the same Choice Act, where some of these rural schools have been bound by segregation for years and not being adequately funded because of taxes. You got organizations on this hall right now that's against gaming, they're against public schools. So whenever you go to put up a tax, they're always against taxes for public schools, I know, in rural areas. But Mount Brook can put up a tax tomorrow and they don't care nothing about it. They don't even look that way. So I want these kids to be able to own some real estate. If they can own some real estate, maybe one day they may want to build themselves a school and teach and make sure that children get an adequate education. Because we have some wonderful and great, thriving public schools in this state. I will put them up against any private school today. Even in this process, as we learned today, while public school kids are being graded by a certain test, school kids who will go to a private school will not be graded on the same level. not only will they not be graded at the same level, but when the grade comes out, it will only go to the Department of Revenue, not the Department of Education, but it will be reported to the Department of Revenue. That will only be seen by the Department of Revenue and the parents of those children. Nothing will be public, whether they fail or what. But our children get to get that black eye and that swole jaw from being laughed at for going to a failing school. And you want to pack your bags and leave. See, that same Birmingham Southern School that was in my hometown now is Southern Academy, which is a private school that never admitted a black student to their private school, to this day's history. So my kids don't ever have a choice because this school had never opened their doors to us. So a lot of us don't have that choice to choose. Schools are falling down. None of the gaming money is going towards trying to help put into capital projects to make sure the schools can be built in our state. You go to the state of Mississippi where they have gaming, you see beautiful schools being built all the time. Roads are being paved in the state of Mississippi. And Mississippi even passed Medicaid expansion last week out of the House. So here we are trying to be conservative Alabama, and we're just going to conserve ourselves on out the picture. And the whole global economy is going to build around us, and we're not going to be competitive because we're going to still be looking for some federal dollars to help build ourselves up on, but we say we don't ever want a handout from anybody else. That's what we're going to be looking for. We're going to be looking for the federal government to bail us out each and every time of some other lawsuit, like we did tobacco lawsuit. Now we got opioid lawsuits. And so here we are. I'm going to push you to the brink tonight. I'm going to push you to midnight tonight. You can believe that. Believe that. Yes, sir. The day of your birthday, I apologize. Do you want to go on and get you some cake? Because I got this. You can go on out to dinner if you want to. I got this. You can go out to dinner if you want to. I got this. Okay? You can go to dinner and come back. I'll be here when you get back. So, when we look at per pupil spending 2021, Montgomery spent only $974 per child, while the Auburn City School spent $3,000 per child. And Mount Brook spent over $7,000 per child. And we asked whether or not that is equitable and fair. I can remember when the Montgomery school system wanted to do their tax here, which they are on a referendum right now today, trying to get a renewed tax just to keep school doors open. And we're willing to just take $100 million and just throw it out there and say, hey, puff, here you are. You can go on and go to school. I think parents should have the right to send their children to wherever school they would like, We already have school choice. The only thing that's happening now is that the money just not following the choice. And so what we want to do now is to get the money to follow the choice. That's what this is all about. We're just going to slow this down because I need to be able to see it. My old granddaddy used to say, boy, slow motion is better than no motion. So if it slow down, you can see it go by. Slow it down. And I got something I want to talk to you about on that tax you want to put on folks, 7%. That's going to run gamblers away from the state. They'll go to Mississippi, somewhere else. We can't win that way with the sub kind of games that we have now on the HHR. They're already going to be reluctant to play those kind of games. Then you put the 7% on them for winning over 500 or better. They're going to go somewhere else because they can't see themselves. They'd rather go to a state where they're going to get the 3 and 4%. State tax is only 4% here in Alabama. That's all we need to really be charging. So we'll still make money. Okay? We'll still make money. If we want to survive. Now I know you for the bill. If we're going to survive. With that, I think we can't survive. It's a great idea. If we were playing class 3, it'll be a great idea. Okay? If we were in class 3, it'll be a great idea. But that tax is going to hurt. And we'll see gambling because we're too close to other state that has it. They can go right across the Mississippi, go to Florida, go to other places and play, and they don't have to pay that level of tax. But anyway, back to schools. So school is a part of real estate. When you can build a new school in the area, that's real estate. And we can build schools with new revenue if it was coming in from gaming dollars. We got to look at how we're spending money across the state, what we're doing with it, and how it's going to affect the people of this state. Our children deserve better. Our children deserve better in this atmosphere called education. We could do better than what we're doing for our children. We could do better than what we're doing for our teachers. We could do all what we're doing. And so, I mean, if y'all want to call out the dinner, you can call out the dinner, but I got time. I got time. So we chose to come in at 4, go into recesses, throw bills on folk that nobody know that's gonna come. So sometimes you just gotta pay when the rabbit got the gun. I just been waiting on this area of the calendar to get here. Because you can't get past sunset. And you can't cloture me on it. That's a beautiful thing. So we're going to make sure that the people of the state of Alabama understand that your real estate board is good for another 4 years. It is good because of the recommendation that we have here tonight. It's going to make sure that the Alabama Real Estate Appraisal Board continues to do the good work that they're doing. I don't know what the racial makeup on that board is, whether there's diversity. I don't have the book before me to know what it does. Are those books back there on the real estate appraisal? Can I get that up here? Can somebody pass me that real estate appraisal book, please? And so, thank you, sir. And so if we could just thumb through here for a second. Board has an executive director, real estate property analyst, valuation analyst number 2, executive secretary, account clerk, administrative support assistant 2, and legal counsel. Those are the employees of this board. This board has over, in terms of employees, has 2 white males, 6 white females. Wow. No people of color employed at this board. The real estate appraisal board. No white, no blacks, or people of color even employed there. Yes. It shows the employment and personnel. It shows white male, white female. So total 8 employees, 6 white females and 2 white males. Let's look at their salaries. The executive director, $98,000 a year. The executive secretary for that board makes $54,000 a year. The real estate analyst 2s make between $38,000 and $42,000 a year, and the senior property evaluator makes $67,000, between $67,000 and $85,000 a year. The attorney makes $120,000 a year, and the retired employee, they have one retired employee, makes $24.60 an hour. So that's why we have to look at these boards a lot of times. Y'all gonna have to do better. Real estate appraisal board. And the gentleman got up here and said, this is one of the better ones, the better run ones. And see, they want to take away DEI, but nobody ever want to consider that. That would never cross his mind to say, well, why don't y'all make sure that you can employ, because I can't believe that there are no black appraisals that are not out there. Okay? So that's the kind of stuff we got to do better. We got to do better on. And so we just got to slow this process down a little bit. Everybody want to rush through everything. It's going to be all right. People can get mad. I don't care. And so I was looking for the board makeup. Guess that's it. That's the organizational structure. All right. So we're going to continue to deal with this board here. We're going to have to say to this committee the next time that they're coming up, we've given them 4 years, so we want to get a chance to deal with them for another 4 years. This is it. So that's the kind of stuff that we give when we let them get away, so they'll get away with that for another 4 years after tonight. And so that's just one of the reports. And so we have an opportunity to do some good things under gaming. I think that all of the facilities that are named in it, I think that they have some very competent people who understand how to run gaming operations in the state. I think that what we did was allow ourselves to lose out on a lot of money that again could have went into prime real estate and making that work. And so I just want people to understand that where we are, we're going to be hurt here. We passed, again, DEI, libraries, all of those things that were intended to hurt people, to get rid of the diversity of this state. This state operates better through its diversity than it does in its segregation. It works better in its diversity, again, than its segregation. When you have diverse people with diverse concepts and mindsets, you'll see a difference in what we call the melting pot of America, how we operate. I spoke over at the Business Council this morning and was trying to talk about the fact that we want business community to get involved in DEI because it kills our business. It kills the growth. It kills industry from wanting to come to our state. It kills people who want to come and invest in our state because you have policies such as DEI. It kills us. And when it started really hurting us, then we're going to find ourselves trying to come back and correct it. And we're going to want to name it something else and warm it all over when we can just go on and do the right thing now, and you don't have to worry about putting it in the microwave. You go on and cook it in the oven right now and get you a good cooked meal. Take your time and let it simmer. So y'all know nothing about simmering on the stove and have that little slow drip. That slow drip where that gravy get thick. But y'all want to microwave it and zoom, nuke it up. Thank you, sister. But we're not going to microwave these bills here. We're going to have to cook these bills. We're going to have to cook the choice bill. We're going to have to cook the gaming bill. We're not going to microwave them. We're going to make sure that they're done and done right. Because usually you don't get but one shot at these kind of bills. Especially when you got a constitutional amendment. We're ready to spend $100 million to give to private school education and other schools, and we don't even want to look at it as an appropriation. We're trying to take the money and be slick before it hit the Education Trust Fund so it won't be appropriated, I guess. We think we're slick. So somebody's going to have to explain to me tomorrow how all of this works. How do we get to this point of being able to take $100 million a year, which is really a floor, it's not a ceiling. It's a floor. Because it depends on the participation, it can get up to $400 million. And it doesn't even affect the rolling reserve because it doesn't even make it that far. Don't even get into the account. But we're saying that we're prudent on savings, and we're always quick to put up some cash saving, rainy day fund here and there to save the day, which I'm for. But then we just want to turn around and say, here's $100 million and just throw it out the door. Poof, pop goes a weasel. You know, I know that, because that's the saving man right there. And I like it when you do what you do. You be trying to help us. But all of a sudden, Somebody got the magic dice out and said, here's a choice. Well, you already have a choice. Today, any child who wants to go to private school can go to private school. Today, any child who wants to go to be homeschooled can be homeschooled. Today, any child that wants to go to public school can go to public school. Today, any child that wants to go to a charter school can go to a charter school. The only difference is the money just not in the air today. That's the big difference. Choice is already there. I don't know why we call this the choose bill. The choice is there. Anybody can choose to go there already. It's just that you were not sending the money. The money is making the difference. Follow the dollar. And that's all we got to do, is make sure that we're following the dollar. And I want these kids to get the best education. You're right, parents should have the right to choose where their child go to school and they get educated. I have no problem with that concept. But when you're just going to throw a pot load of money out to those people who wants to make those choices, what about the children who choose to stay at the school that they're there? Isn't that a choice? What about that? We need to put an amendment on that. The children who choose to stay there because they still think that that's a good school, it's their choice, just like the kids who are already at a private school going to get the money. What about the children who choose to stay at the public school that they're at? Why can't we get the same money? See, what our superintendents need to do is to create some conversion charter schools within their own system. So I can give them the solution. And then just move your children over there and get you some extra money for them. It's a choice. Just create your own conversion charter school within your public school system. That way you keep your kids in your system. They make a choice to go over there, and you keep the money right there in your system. Called conversion charters. Why not? Because even in your conversion charters, take your conversion charters and create your own reading academies, math academies, and put those kids who are failing, put them over there and give them all the attention, because charter schools get way more flexibility than public schools do. Put them over there and give those teachers a chance to be creative with them and help them, and you get the money and you move forward. Called conversion charter. In the charter bill, we allow our public schools to be able to do that. Yes. But nobody taking advantage of it. You can find a way to deal with you can set up schools for those kids who just would like to be in an evening program, if you want to. Create your charter inside your public school, because see, what makes the charter be relevant is when they come to the public school first and ask and we turn them down, then they go back to the board, and then the board gives them the right to do it, the charter board, which is not now under the State Board of Education anymore, because we passed a bill under the Accountability Act that sit them out by themselves. So they're always going to say yes to those who want to create the charter. So, but if we create the conversion charter within our own self, it makes it a little bit harder for them to go out and start the charter school in your community. That's all. So we just got to get smart at the game at public schools and realize that those charter schools and other schools are here and they're not going anywhere, they're here to stay. So if the superintendents are listening to me while you're in town, start creating your own conversion charter schools and take advantage of some of this money. Take advantage of some of this. That way, even if you're poor kids, you can send them across there and have you another building. You don't have to worry about free and reduced lunch. You can provide them free. You can provide them a lunch as your board. See, we just got to get smart sometime and play the game. We fight it too much sometimes. We be bouncing, boxing, and we fail to see the solutions. The solution to the problem is right among us. And like I tell people all the time, when we got problems in our community, the solution to the problem is in the community. You just got to be of the community to help solve the problem in the community. If you ain't of the community, you don't know how to solve the problem in the community. It's got to be in the community. That's where we are. So we just need to create conversion charters. If that's supposed to be the magical wand that is waved to help these kids learn a whole lot more, and we create that charter school as if it is a magical thing, a private school is supposed to be magical. There are private schools out here that don't even have certified teachers. And I'm having an amendment tomorrow to make sure that they all have certified teachers. We don't know what they got. We'll never know whether they fail or pass because we won't get that record publicly. It will be a private record between the Department of Revenue, not the Department of Education, but the Department of Revenue and those parents. And if a 504 program has to be built for a child, as they say under the current law, or even under this law, that if the child goes to the private school, the public school has to still service that child under that IEP or the 504. Even if it's supposed to be a failing school. So if your child could be served, your child with disability could be served by that failing school, good God Almighty. We're just funding legal segregation. That's all we're going to be doing. Might well call a spade a spade. So I'm going to be asking my superintendents to be looking at some conversion charters. Because if that's the magic, then we need to be doing that magical thing. You know, so we just need to be real about this and make sure that all of our babies are taken care of. You know, because then if we do that conversion charter, we can then even get some that $10,000 for those kids that are with the AAA Act. See, they give $10,000. I'm going to figure this thing out here in a minute. How we need to do it, what we need to be doing. I'm going to figure this thing out. You know, I've been standing up here and talking for about an hour, and I'm just getting strong because I'm just figuring it out. I'm going to lay the plan out here. Maybe they'll find a reason to put another amendment in the bill to cut it out once I lay it out here. We'll see tomorrow. So we just need to make sure that all of our children are getting the best education possible. So, because when you look at Montgomery Public School only spending $974, which is one of the largest city school systems in the state. Then you got the Auburn school system, city school system, that spends $3,000 per child, and Mount Brook that spends $7,000 per child. See, the folks at Mount Brook ain't gonna have to move nowhere because they already spend $7,000. They don't need nobody else $7,000. They're probably going to be setting up criteria to keep you from coming over there. And a lot of these private schools are not going to let you erupt their culture. They're going to probably going to set tuition higher so that even the money that you get is not going to be enough for you to come into their school. I know that there are schools like in Birmingham, Altamont. I remember a few years ago, it was $20,000 a semester per child. Or a year, whatever it was over there. I'm sure it's even higher now. And so those schools are not going to, no, you ain't coming in there with no, they don't care nothing about your $7,000. But it's these babies that are going to be left behind in our public schools. It's what I'm feared of and how we're going to fare. But we can take some of this gaming money, build some real estate, bring in some more sales tax, bring in some more income tax, bring in dollars that can make a difference in this state, move this state forward, move this state to a place to where we all know that where we can be great. That's what we can do. We don't have to sit around and wait on federal government to continue to give us money over and over and over again when we have the opportunity and the ability, but we just don't have the wherewithal or the whole mindset is not with all of my colleagues to move the state to the next level. But yet and still, they're fiscal conservatives. They say they love this state. But at the end of the day, how much do you really love the state? We talk about sports betting. We took it out. Sports betting already on Saturday, Alabama and Auburn games, and other sports betting that goes on these offshores. It's record $2 billion a year in this state, in this state alone. Alabama is one of the #1 states of betting in Vegas. But yet and still, we don't want to capture those dollars because we say it's spreading gaming. Well, what would a lottery be? It's going to be in every C-store, every corner store, in every neighborhood. That's expanding. Let's just tell the truth about it. The House sent us a comprehensive bill. The House put 70 votes on the table and put a comprehensive bill. The Speaker spent a lot of political capital getting the bill passed because we said to them, we passed the bill, and if a gaming bill is going to be passed, you're going to have to be the one to pass it. And they stood up to the test, and they brought it home, and I applaud them. I think members in this august body thought it wasn't going to happen. That's why they throw the bluff out. Now the ball is in our court, and we scared to dribble. We're scared to dribble the ball. We letting former governors who have been against this be against it. Listening to folks. Former members are calling, talking about not doing it when they got their hands all in the cookie jars. You got other states who are here betting on people, hiring lobbyists to keep us from passing gaming bills while their states are thriving. Because they want us to continue to bring our money across to their state lines. And if you ever realize this, people, that none of the state line lotteries ever hit from stores from no state line, because they don't intend to pay nobody from Alabama. We always run to the state line, and none of those stores ever hit. Who you ever know in Alabama that won a big old lottery in Mississippi or Georgia somewhere? But we run across there every time, and those stores on those state lines never win a thing. But we run across there every time. That's why when I go in the city somewhere, up in there with them. You know, you got to find out where them old rich white folk live. That's what win all the time. You get to California, it's always somebody old. You go on the state line, you ain't never win on the state line. Those stores never hit. But here we are taking our dollars over there all the time. Look like it's getting to be time to vote on this thing here. And the next one is up is what now? State Licensing Board. Contractors. I guess we're the pro tem can come step in here and call adjournment if you want to, because we're not on sunset. But at the end of the day, I understand where we are and I understand the rule. So we're gonna be voting on this bill here in about 2 minutes. So I'm glad. Good. Join me, my fellow statesmen. Join me in this great debate of real estate appraisals. I love it when y'all go to yarning. You ain't used to staying late. Good job. But I think that we have to slow this thing down. We have too many moving parts going on around here, and we are not getting ourselves into that. Mr. President, I move for third reading be dispensed with use of previous roll without, no, I'm sorry, call the long roll, please.
All right, Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chasteen. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman-Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Reed. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Shillnut. Mr. Singleton. Mr. Smitherman. Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stutz. Mr. Wagner. Ms. Weaver. Mr. Williams.
$28 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 114 passes. Thanks, Senator Gavan. Senator Reed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I want to compliment the gentleman from Green. I learned quite a bit from the conversation that we had earlier. and I appreciate his diligence. But I'm going to save you from any more conversation, Senator. So,
Don't save me, save the bear. Don't say.
with that, Mr. President, I would like to make a motion that we stand adjourned until 3 p.m. tomorrow, Wednesday, March 6th.
All right, you heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Let's work.
We stand
Let's
adjourned.
work. Let's work.
Thank you, Mr. President.